use your God power to get everything you ever wanted and live the life of your dreams. The Master's Course. Copyright 2010 by Richard Lee McKim Jr. All rights reserved. Let the quest for knowing begin. Number 2. Star Trek holodeck characters as representations. Every single thing in our physical life experience is represented as physical, even though in reality it is only energy. This includes all life and all matter. The holodeck on Star Trek is similar in that it represents every single thing as physical when in fact it is just a hologram projected from the computer. That includes all life and all matter. There are people who are represented by the computer that look real and act real and even bleed if you cut them as if they were real. The holodeck computer projects matter such as a chair that not only looks real, but it can be sat on and used as if it were a real chair. But in the end, they are only streams of millions and millions of ones and zeros streaming by in the computer processor. While the images and representations on Star Trek's holodeck are fictional, they very closely represent how life really works. Of course, our representations aren't generated by a computer, but instead by a morphic resonant energy field that is invisible to our senses, but is more real than the physically represented projection that we experience. Now, let's go step by step, describing how the human representation system, called a body, actually works. The best way to visualize this is to think in terms of the holodeck on Star Trek, because it is the closest depiction of actual reality that I have seen. For those of you who haven't watched Star Trek: The Next Generation, I will fully explain the holodeck in detail, what it is and how it works. It is a room where the computer is able to project three-dimensional holographic images that are not only lifelike, but realistic in every way. This computer-generated environment or world can emulate any real world scene wanted by the computer operator. It can project everything from humans to mountains to buildings and cars and everything else you can imagine. These images are projected in such a way that a real person can walk through and amongst these images and depictions and interact with them in a very realistic way, as if they were real. They use the amazing capabilities of this holodeck for entertainment, education, and unusual experiments that they would never try in a real-world setting. In the next video example, you will see a segment of the Star Trek show that features the holodeck. Video example, Star Trek holodeck. What is this video about? In this video example, the holodeck has just been upgraded and improved by two little computer experts. The second in command, William T. Riker, played by Jonathan Frakes, visits the holodeck to check out and experience the new improvements.
For best results, pause this video at this point here, and watch the video example mentioned in the segment. The links are located in the book chapter, and at the end of the book. If you are watching this online, you will find the link for this video example listed in the notes section. Then, after watching the associated video example, continue watching this video from here.
He asked the computer to generate a jazz bar scene in New Orleans, Louisiana, for the year 1958. The jazz band suddenly appears from nowhere. He then asked for an audience. and finally selects a beautiful brunette who is to be his date in this fictitious environment. The band begins to play some music as the scene unfolds, and he gets to know this computer-generated woman. He speaks his now famous line, "What is a knockout like you doing in a computer-generated gin joint like this?" What does this example show, and what does it mean? This video example demonstrated the idea that the computer-generated holographic characters are indistinguishable from the real-life people. In the scene, it would be hard, if not impossible, to tell who is real and who is not. The representations generated by the computer are so real in every way that they can easily pass as the real thing. We are so real in every way that we pass as the real thing. In fact, we are so realistic in every way that we even pass as the real thing to ourselves. The biggest difference between the computer-generated characters on Star Trek's holodeck is that we are generated by something far more powerful than a computer. We are created by the infinite intelligence of the universe, and we think and believe that we are really physical. Using our Star Trek holodeck analogy, we will start with a computer, energy field, generated human being. Let's call him Rick, the representation, or Rick for short. When Rick, the computer-generated image, is reading a book on the holodeck, what is actually happening is Rick's eyes are seeing words. However, the computer already knows the whole book that is being read by Rick. In fact, Rick, at the energy level, already knows the whole book because the book is also generated by the same computer. But in order to keep this very realistic, to make this holodeck a believable reality, he should only know the words that are in front of his eyes. As those words are represented as seen, then Rick's computer-represented brain lights up, just like the computer music player, as if a nerve pathway was really being triggered. The visual cortex in the holodeck-generated character shows activity as if it is really seeing the book. But it is not. The whole scene is generated to be seamless and appear as if the representations are real. So every detail of the projection is realistic so that it is believable. But actually, this computer-generated and projected brain has not seen a thing. The eyes, like the brain and every other part of his body, are just a nice work of display art. It displays perfectly coordinated displays of activity and response that seem so real to us and make sense to our immersed thinking. This reminds me of a clear plastic engine model that my grandfather gave me when I was a kid. It was a V8 car motor that would actually turn and look like it was running. With the clear plastic, you could see inside the cylinders and see the pistons going up and down with little red lights to represent the spark plugs firing. But even though it had all the right parts, and they looked and seemed like they were interacting with each other in a proper way and running, the plastic engine model in the end was only representing a motor running, but it wasn't actually running.
Options. Now activating the next video, play options. 1 moment please. Click on the green arrow to start watching the next video. Or, click on the red arrow to start watching the prior video. Or, click on the tan arrow to go to the main course menu and guide, with links to all course chapters, excerpts, and special reports. Up next, special video options. Click on your choice of course videos, menus, and excerpts. Now switching to the special video options menu and activating the video selection buttons. click on your selection number to start watching the video. "15 seconds till we switch to the next page with the free download information. Pause the video now if you need more time to review the available selections." This is the end of this course video. Its video number is listed above. To watch the next video, simply click on the next video in number sequence. Thank you.